I made a decision to turn my will and my life over because when I had my kids taken, I had this huge vein pop out of my forehead, and I was a broken woman, and I realized like this is going to kill me if I don't do something.
So you're currently living on the beach in Venice Beach?
No. John, I fell in love with my best friend, John, and we both are doing, we call it God's work. So we started a nonprofit, A Call to Love, and our vision is to take Venice Beach from domination government to self-governing, from market economy to sacred economics, which means instead of rewarding greed and selfishness, we reward altruism, do-gooding, and people's gifts and talents in terms of how they meet needs.
But weren't you just married to?
My divorce is final August 10th, and I already told him that I want to marry him August 11th. He's my twin flame, and if I don't have a twin flame, I'm wired for a he hive, which means I have never-ending kings, usually like 4 to 12 at a time.
4 to 12 boyfriends at a time?
Yes, and usually they're all monogamous, and I'm the only woman they date, and all of them play nice together. But when I find a twin flame, then I'll just stay with that one person. So John is that for me.
So you're like a female
Casanova.
Casanova. There you go.
Yes, that's right.
You told me the other day when I met you across the street, you have thousands of boyfriends?
Yeah, John and I just started hooking up on Wednesday. So, yeah, so it's pretty new.
And you're engaged already?
Yeah, well, we've been best friends for a long time. We speak publicly together, so we'll go to courthouses and government buildings, and we want to start speaking at Google and big businesses. Our vision is to bring people together, so instead of merit-based systems, which is like, oh, like you have a lot because you deserve it, or you inherited it, or you were ordained by God, like explaining accumulation, which creates scarcity, is done by merit. And if we shift into need-based systems, all of us share the same universal needs with the planet, and every single microorganism has the same universal needs as us, and all of life has the same needs. So if we focus our attention on what are your gifts and talents, what gives you a sense of meaning and purpose, and that's what you're supposed to do. And the problem is we've taken government and market economy, and we've taken spiritualism out of it. But we need spirituality. And I believe that this is the time where I've created 4 steps so to get us to sacred economics. The first step, we turn our will, first step is we acknowledge that there's a problem, that our lives are unmanageable, we're all suffering, and the jig is up. No one wins in market economy. Step 2, we made a decision to turn our will and our life over to a higher power. I call it God, but it could be earth or whatever you want. And by turning your will over, it means that you find your meaning and purpose. It took me years to find my meaning and purpose. And I know without a doubt, it's 1 or 2 things for everyone. My meaning and purpose, to awaken, which means you're not a human, you're a superhero. And you're lovable no matter what. And no one can ever kick you out. You belong no matter what. So I awaken people. And number 2, I bring people together. I unite them. And the way I unite people is by meeting needs. So I match people up. Like, what does this person need? What does this person need? And who can meet the needs for that person? And I believe that through interdependent partnerships, we can replace coercive giving with natural giving. And that's our way. Dolphin and eagles and the great Mother Earth, nobody charges except for humans. And even Earth, I'll give you an example. Like, we're so toxic in LA, and all we do is make her culture medium, which is water dirty. We create a toxic environment for Earth. And then in turn, she gives us dandelions. And they grow everywhere like weeds because they detoxify our body. And it's as if the Great Mother is saying, oh, you guys are so toxic and lovable. Here, have some dandelions to help detoxify you. And she's still giving, because instead of accumulation and scarcity, which you need domination governments and market economy to create, with sacred economics and self-governing, which means it's based off willingness and capacity, not getting paid and working, then you have abundance instead. And abundance replaces scarcity and accumulation by having an endless flow of resources to meet needs for everyone. And with gift giving, by meeting needs for these people and giving, it takes trust and vulnerability that now there's going to be a vacuum created that I'm going to also receive. So it's a big shift that I believe we're all coming to.
Sounds wonderful.
And yeah.
Where did you grow up, Daisy?
So I went to 8 schools in 7 years. I was born in Stamford, Connecticut. I was born Charlene Fodor to Eugene Fodor, who is in the Wikipedia. He's a world-famous violinist. And my mother, Susie, who's an opera singer. My parents got divorced when I was 2. So by the time I was 2, I already lived in Connecticut, New York City, Colorado, and then we moved to Paraguay. I met President Ronald Reagan, who was good friends with my grandfather, Arthur H. Davis, who's also in the Wikipedia. And I also got introduced to Bush Sr., President Bush, and my grandfather was appointed by Reagan to be ambassador of Paraguay and then Panama. So I grew up for 7 years in those countries in the United States Embassy. President Bush asked my grandfather to be ambassador of Chile, and he declined, and we moved to Washington, D.C., and then Northern Virginia, and then again Colorado. Like, we moved around a lot. When I was 5 years old, my mom sent me to a mental hospital, and I believe that rich people who are privileged like me, we have the most abuse, because in order to use your power over and extract and harm everyone else, you have to be really separated, and you have to really go through trauma to be able to traumatize others. So in my family, I was left with nannies. My mom was ice cold, no affection. And then my grandfather was the family pedophile and molested, most of the little girls and some of the little boys. The nannies were raped by him. One of my teenage nannies got pregnant. And when I was 13, my best friend was sexually assaulted. And she came running up the stairs crying, and my other girlfriend was there. And I thought, oh, good, the jig is up. So I told my mom, hey, it's been happening to me since my earliest memories. And she called me a liar, told me I should be ashamed. So the abuse continued for another 3 years. And when I watch Ivanka Trump and Donald Trump, and she sits in his lap and stuff and goes on dates with him, that's how it was with my grandpa. And the same feeling he gave me of my skin crawling, I recreated that when I turned 22. I found cocaine and alcohol and cigarettes, and that was my trinity. Those 3, and I didn't want any other drugs. I tried other stuff once, but that was my thing. Almost every day I used from 22 till 36. And from 22 till 36, I would wake up and say, this is day 1 being sober, every day. I felt like I was using against my will. I really wanted to get sober. I recreated the same trauma for my kids, the psychological, physical, verbal abuse, waking up from blackouts, and my oldest telling me stuff that I did.
How many children do you have?
3.
And they're with you?
So when I was 36, on July 21st.
So how old are you now?
I'm 42.
You're 42.
Yeah.
You look great.
So thank you. So I got sober, and my awakening was triggered on July 21st. So men would pay me $8,000 to $12,000 a month, and I was with Nobel Prize winning doctors, famous lawyers, hedge fund managers, because they could afford me. And so I was out on the hunt for a new guy. So
you were an escort or more of a sugar baby?
Sugar baby. So sugar babies, they don't sleep with a guy for a long time. So the night I got arrested, he gave me, and all this is in the police report, he gave me an envelope for $2,000. We went out to dinner. By the end of the night, I was drunk and we got in some fight, and then I called the cops on him. So the cops came. They ended up arresting me for prostitution because he's like, oh, I gave her to. Anyways, they didn't arrest him. I told the police that my kids were alone. My oldest was 10. My youngest were 8 and 2 years old. So my oldest was responsible for babysitting them. At the time, I had been a millionaire since I was 22. I had just bought my 5th house. I had a brand new RV. I had a ranch in Costa Rica with horses and a guard at the gate and people living there. So I had like tons of money and resources. And I still wouldn't pay a babysitter because I came home in blackouts. And I didn't want babysitters to see me go home in a blackout. And I wanted to keep the abuse secret because I didn't want to lose my kids. And I lost my kids. And I got sober 12 days later. And I had this realization like, holy shit, now I can't be a sugar baby because I can't numb out that feeling of my skin crawling, which was the same feeling I had from my grandpa.
How long were you using drugs, alcohol, all that?
So I was an alcoholic from like the first time I drank, I was 11, and I was a blackout drinker from when I was 14 years old. But I started dabbling in it when I was 11 years old. By the time I was 14, I was an alcoholic.
And that lasted until when?
When I was 22, I found cocaine, and then I became a sugar baby. And I would like date and live with these guys for like 4 or 5 years. I would recreate the relationship I had with my grandpa. And then when I was 36, getting sober from drugs and alcohol, my main addiction was being a sugar baby. So I spent a lot of time in Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous.
But this was one guy at a time or multiple?
It was one guy at a time. And then I would like look for others because I had a place in Costa Rica, and like sometimes I would look for others, but it was always like one guy at a time. Mm-hmm. So when I got sober, I realized like, holy shit, I have a $6,400 a month mortgage, and I was getting $14,000 a month in child support. And now I didn't have my kids. So it was $13,800 exactly. So I didn't have that. And I was like, what do? I need men's money, but I'm not willing to sell my body because I can't numb out. So Flow Strokes was born, but I called it a dominant massage. So I would have willing participants who wanted, I didn't know at the time, but I was enacting my trauma on them. I had willing participants who wanted to get brutalized. And I would get their consent, and every time I got a new one, I would have to add things to the list because someone would come and I would like slap them, or they'd call me and be like, I got bruised. So I would have to add those things like, you might get bit, I might rip your clothes, like stuff would come out of me. I'm like, oh, I got to add that to the consent. No one ever said no to anything. So these men would.
So you were a dominatrix?
I didn't think of it. I said it was a dominant massage because I wanted to play music and dance on them and stomp on them. And then if they even looked at me, I would slap them or kick them and say, relax, which is not relaxing. Like they needed to be dead weight and just let me beat them up. So I guess like it was more brutal than a dominatrix because they had to be like, pretend they were unconscious. And they would get bruised and hurt.
This was one guy at a time.
Oh, one guy at a time, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I mean, they were selling like hotcakes, these dominant massages.
I'll bet.
So at 14 months sober, I had like this profound awakening, and I was going to school for hypnotherapy, yoga, and by this time I was a CMT. And all of a sudden, I thought I hated men, and I thought all men were trash. And then I had this huge awakening. I was doing a lot of breath work. And I got so high off breath work because your brain releases dimethyltryptamine. This is being sober, California sober, because I smoke marijuana. I had this awakening where I was like, oh my God, I don't hate men. I was just afraid of them. And all of a sudden I wanted to love them. So they would come for healings now. And I would do these like, you are so lovable hypnotherapy, because I was a hypnotherapist and I was also a yoga instructor. So now instead of dancing on them to hurt them, and I wanted them to be hurt, and if they even looked at me with any lust, it was like, then I really got to beat them up and let them have it. But now I wanted to connect with these men, and it became my work when the men did objectify me. I knew that it was something within me I needed to heal. And the way to heal it was by loving them. And then all of a sudden I knew I wouldn't attract this anymore. So 14 months was when I had this profound awakening, and I had many more after that. Flow Strokes was born. And I was so excited. So I was all alone. When you first get sober, everything falls away and you don't have any of your old friends. So I started telling people in my dance studios and yoga studios, like, I made this amazing thing up called Flow Strokes, and I was so excited. But when I would tell people, they would think it was so weird, like they would stop being my friend. So I had to like figure out how to create Flow Strokes by myself. And if you want, we could videotape a little bit of it, or you could look it up, Flow Strokes. I literally dance on bodies. And I knew it was going to be magical, but I had to like figure out how to create it. So I was having these visions. I was in Huntington Beach. My kids were in separate foster homes. I was getting ridden hard through the system, and being of service and my spirituality was the only thing that was keeping me alive. And the huge vein on my forehead was still there. I don't remember when it disappeared, but
from the stress of it all.
Yeah, and from crying all the time. And so it's almost been 6 years since I lost my kids. But Flow Strokes was what helped me heal. And I was in Huntington Beach. I kept having these visions, like I'm going to be on the beach somewhere. So I had this situation where COVID started. This woman who was staying with me was like, oh, I don't have to leave. So I didn't want to live with her. It was just supposed to be short term. So I left my place, and it was like the universe pushing me to this vision. So I ended up at Venice Beach. I took everything I owned, and I literally moved to the beach at Breeze Avenue, and there was a hilltop. And I walked up the hill, and I put a sign that said the Healing Hut. And I was like, this is where I'm going to do God's work. And
you have a tent or something like that?
I made like a house out of furniture. And I put like a mirror on top, and then 2 weeks later, I built a yoga studio that had 11-foot ceilings, wood flooring. Parks and Recs came, and they were like, what are you doing? You can't build on the beach. And I looked at everyone. I said, keep building. And the cops already knew who I was because I was there for 2 weeks healing everyone. And I was changing the culture at the beach, where around my hill, it was like all love and healing and yoga and nonviolent communication, which is Marshall Rosenberg's the psychologist that created that. And we'll go into that later. But the LAPD was like, let her build. So this yoga studio was there for over 3 months until they finally tore it down because we were doing amazing things. And I had women come in with road rash on their back from getting raped. I had men, this one guy had a stab wound on his head and he had a gun and he's going to go shoot this person. And we would just give empathy until all of a sudden, instead of going to shoot this person, he ended up doing yoga all day and then totally forgot about it. So we were doing amazing things. We had people who went through Deepak Chopra trainings and other yoga instructors, and other people were coming to volunteer. And when they took my yoga studio down, I continued my work. And at that time, like, I had completely exited market economy because this beautiful thing that I had created, and I consider myself a master, I felt like my work was not being honored. Number one, when you charge for it, you leave yourself open for solicitation and for more objectification and for people trying to coerce you into stuff you don't want to do. And I decided my work was too sacred, that this was my meaning and purpose. And in Venice, I learned how to dance on bodies, and Flow Strokes turned into a beautiful, gorgeous art. And ever since, I decided if money exchanges hands, it's not Flow Strokes.
So you do it for no monetary?
I won't touch money. I haven't touched money in years.
And you're living where now?
Right now, I
because it sounds like
I fell in love with my best friend. So
but it sounds like you had money in the past. Did you lose it all?
So, I mean, I just got a $34,000 butt implant surgery I didn't pay for. I have access to groceries at the beach. Like this morning, we just got done feeding hundreds of people because 7 days a week, our nonprofit picks up food and feeds people 5 days a week in Redondo and 2 days a week in Venice. The guy who does my tattoos is at Brooks and Oceanfront Walk. My money's no good there. Same thing with my dentist. My money's no good there. I believe in a world where we can have relationships and trust instead of exchange. And then it will be something like someone came up to me and my partner yesterday, who him and his wife do fruit juice. He's like, "Here, have a lemonade, both of you." And my heart was overflowing with love. I said, "You and your wife come and see me for a healing." Now, I used to charge $300 to do my hypnotherapy, magical body work. And now for the cost of a lemonade, because my heart is full, I'm doing it. And I believe in this world where, because I do my beautiful body work for someone, they do all of my dental work. This is the world where we won't have barriers like this person who wants to be a dentist so badly and is so passionate about it, who can't do it because they can't pay or they can't travel or they can't, like, how many things that we want to do, we can't do because of industry, market economy, something in our way that really, like, there's no reason for it to be in our way. And I made the decision to feel the pinch of the market economy and to have nothing but a twinkle in my eye. Sometimes I go without my needs, but I come with the vulnerability of presenting to people on a beautiful platter so they could pick up like little hors d'oeuvres that they want to enjoy. These are my needs. Would you love to be interdependent with me and meet needs together? Let's collaborate. How can I make your life more wonderful? Here's how you can make my life wonderful. And it took me 2 years of doing healings for Tattoo Guy, and the dentist guy would just hear me do speeches, and all of a sudden now it's catching on. And now Venice Beach, which has a really strong community, I mean, we're starting a movement.
And there's flow strokes, there's no sex involved?
No. Although it is a really tantric, amazing practice for couples. So like that practice is sacred. And so John and I have been enjoying flow strokes together, but the tantric-y flow strokes, I mean, I haven't been able to enjoy that with anyone for years since like before my ex-husband, our divorce is final August 10th. I was never able to relax with him. We had like a really volatile marriage, and he helped me learn not to be violent, to not be available for certain things that are toxic in relationships. And I never got to connect deeply with him at that level. And the past week I've been connecting that way with John. But the flow strokes I do at the beach is a different style. It's a different version. It's clothed. I had women in my home yesterday I was doing flow strokes for. So it is something that I love. It's an art, and it's not supposed to be sexual unless it's between consenting people with a sacred bond. That's one thing I hate about market economy, is then everything is for sale.
So tell me about the arrangement you would like to have with your men.
Oh, okay.
You're
now
looking to have how many men roughly?
4 to 12. John is wired for monogamy, and he is not wired. Like, that way of being hurts him.
He's going to have a hard time when there's 10 other guys.
So John is my twin flame, and he's someone who I don't need to have these other men if I'm with him.
Oh, I see.
Mm-hmm. So the he hive has been released.
Oh, I see.
Some other goddess can have them.
Got it.
I fell in love with my best friend.
Do you have any regrets in your life?
Yeah. When my children were little, I told women who would watch them, you don't have to get them out of their crib if they're cry, just let them cry. Stuff like that. That was really traumatizing, and I wasn't able to protect my children. I have a lot of regrets because I was never stood up for or protected. So now I know how to advocate for myself. I know how to advocate for others, but that's a regret, is not having the capacity of being able to advocate for my children and recreating the same trauma. And I regret coaching my boys that men are trash and they're only supposed to be providers, which is toxic gender role. I don't believe that. I believe that we're all free. That because we all buy into this, whatever this is, that we don't have to buy into it, that we could ask what is a more empowering, elevating, life-enriching way of being, and what is our nature. And our biology is to use the most amount of love and the most amount of care and the least amount of force and control. And the whole men are providers. Men have to go die for their country. Men have to. It enslaves men. And I got really good at enslaving men.
And you're in Venice, which is a perfect place to have these.
Oh, it rains
beliefs.
men in my world. But now whenever they text my phone, I just block them and erase them. And I'm just letting go and letting God. I don't plan anything, but I don't have any desire of talking to any other guy right now, which is very, very unusual for me.
So John, who you met on Wednesday, this one's for life.
No, John's been my best friend for a long time. But Wednesday, I did a healing for him, and I went into a deep hypnotic trance, and then we just started hooking up.
But this one's going to last?
I guess we'll see.
Yes, we will.
If not, he'll be a good teacher.
But the money that you had, you said you had a house and things like that.
Yeah.
That's no longer?
No, I was able to float everything for like 2 years, and I sold my house in LA, and then I was renting a 6-bedroom house in Huntington Beach, and I just kept floating everything, and my bills were so high. I actually didn't run out of money for like 2.5 years, and then I was homeless.
But you seem happier now than
Way happier because before I was living in fight or flight, and I would objectify people, even women. Like, when I got sober, it was clear that I didn't have any real friends. And my family was not there for me. And I only have love from my family. I've tried really hard to bring us together because my brother, my sister, my mom, and I are all estranged. No one talks. My 2 boys were in 3 different placements, and my daughter was in 3 different placements. So my 2 boys got adopted by my mom. She was the 3rd placement. My daughter got adopted by strangers. They all vouched to not allow me to see them. And I just keep going with love, not knowing my mom was creating a rap sheet for me this thick. So I had like 9 warrants for my arrest because every time I would drop off gifts and tell them I love them, my mom told my boys, like, oh, if your mom comes, you're going to, and I believe that DCFS probably said this to her because they'll tell people, like, if you let this child see this person, we're going to take them away. So I do believe they told my mom these boys are going to go to a group home. So I would show up and my boys would be terrified, like, no, Mom, you can't be here. Meanwhile, they were calling the cops, getting me a rap sheet. And I'm not saying this with blame. I think it's because my mom wanted to protect the boys. So I have 4 court dates coming up, and it's a monkey circus. So I like to go in and say, I don't give my consent. I'm not available. And then 10 sheriff's deputies will follow me around, and I'll do speeches. And I've been in and out of the system. I've been to jail many times. 5150s for my speeches, because if they can't arrest you, then they'll make something up to get you locked up for being crazy. And I got so good at not getting arrested because I got arrested so much that, like, now I'll actually run away from the cops on my skateboard.
Is that how you get around now?
Yeah.
On a skateboard?
Oh, yeah. They'll chase me because of me skateboarding topless at the beach. Like, I'll get naked and walk to the ocean, and I'll be walking back, and the cops will just be like, Daisy, get dressed. And I'll jokingly be like, come on, chase me. Make it fun before I get dressed. And they're like, no, Daisy, we're not going to chase you. Just get dressed. Like, they won't even, like, arrest me now. So, which is cool. I guess they realize it doesn't do any good to arrest me because I like it.
You like it?
It's a little cat-mouse game we play, and sometimes I try to switch it. Like, I'll give you an example. The other day I was chasing these cops down the boardwalk on my skateboard, and I was like, if I catch your car, I'm going to sketch on it, which means you grab the bumper and take a ride. So they go all the way to the end. And when they got to Santa Monica, they start to make a U-turn. I'm like, oh shit, I'm going to catch you when you flip a bitch. So instead of taking a U-turn, they go, "Arr!" And they turn like 180 the other way, and they drove across the grass on South Beach Park, all the like going as fast as they can. And you just see this goddess pick up her skateboard and run after them. So I like chase that. So we switched the game. So now it's mouse cat, where I chase them. And I mean, now all the cops love me at the beach, and my work's starting to get recognized. But at first, like, I needed a year and a half to rage. I needed a year and a half to scream and yell, to be violent, not violent like where I hurt people, but to learn how to discharge violence and discharge anger. And
is anger the emotion you have the most trouble with?
Not anymore, because I gave myself that opportunity. But I think a lot of us were told like, oh, no. Like, parts of you are not okay. You need to brush yourself up to be more palatable for others. And your violence and anger is unacceptable. So then a lot of us kind of like push it down. And I found out that by pushing it down, it was like locking a dragon in a cage. And instead of locking my dragon in a cage, she's just going to break out anyways if somebody offends me or hurts me. And then my dragon's going to burn everything down, and I don't have these relationships. I can't go here anymore. So instead of locking my dragon in a cage, I decided to invite her out, and now I ride her. And we soar through the clouds, and instead of burning everything down, we shoot fireworks. And she might light my hair on fire, but my hair just gets longer and fuller and more magical, and everything I touch turns to gold. And I believe that our anger and violence is a beautiful treasure that carries wisdom, because if we dissolve the toxic top layers and harvest the wisdom from underneath, it carries with it our universal needs, that which makes life even more wonderful. So if we can draw our attention to those needs and put our energies and focus there, then that's what will expand. So instead of acting out my anger and stuff, I would just find out, like, what am I going to bat for? And that's the non-controversial element where we can all join each other, because we all have the same universal needs.
Welcome to LA, boys.
It's a great awakening. So welcome to high-tech heaven on earth, I like to call it. And instead of humans, I like to call us the super squad, superheroes.
So how Daisy, how do you, like, butt implants, dental work, things like
yes.
Eating food, clothes?
Plastic surgery. Everyone loves to know about that.
It costs money.
So I got my boobs done when I was 30 years old, right after my birthday. And I only had one huge regret, that I didn't do it sooner. My first boob job was amazing. Then I was with this Nobel Prize winning doctor, Vincent Gempapa, and he was a plastic surgeon. So without even doing my due diligence, he put me under, he gave me a nose job. He gave me a chin implant. He liposectioned my neck so I could have like this beautiful jawline. He gave me new boobies and a new butt, and he botched me. I did not like my nose. I didn't like my boobs. I didn't like my butt. I like what he did to my chin, though. He did Reese Witherspoon's chin. He knows how to do it with like these little, he's like got that down really good. So I've had total 3 boob jobs and 5 butt jobs and 2 nose jobs.
But he paid for everything, or doctors?
No, just whatever man I said, you pay for it.
Oh, I see. And
I mean,
that's how you...
Guys, there's no shortage of guys who want to pay for me.
Is that how you get a lot of things done, whether it's dental work or clothes or food?
No, I mean, I don't use sex anymore. My most recent partner, who's also named Jeff, not Perfect Prince, I call him Sweet Sweet. Sweet Sweet, we have a contract that I owe him 19% interest on a $34,000 loan, and for my booty. And we were supposed to open a yoga studio together, and I was going to be the master teaching yoga. And the day of my surgery, this thing like shifted in him. I don't know what happened, but he attacked me. and I haven't seen him since the morning of my surgery. I went into surgery shaking because he scared me, and the nurse told me that she doesn't, she can't control what I do afterwards, but she's responsible for me as long as I'm there. And as long as I'm there, she's not releasing me to him. And if she finds out that he's going to be there while I'm recovering, she's not releasing me. So I told him that, and that really helped me just to like create the separation. And then I kind of like we've been seeing a therapist, and we had our last therapy appointment on Thursday, and John and I hooked up on Wednesday. And so,
So your last therapy appointment was with your husband?
Jeff is not my husband. So they're both named Jeff. Half the men in America are named Jeff. So there's a good chance you're going to marry one. So Jeff is the son of Nicholas. His dad is on the Oprah Winfrey website. He's been on her show a bunch. He's known as the salmon doctor. He's the one who got everyone to start eating salmon. And if you Google him, he sold half his company for $100 million, the other half for $60 million. And when I met my perfect prince, he had a $4 million trust fund that ran out 3 months after I met him. So that was hard for him. And we had a pretty rocky marriage because here's this trust fund kid who he had like this beautiful, almost $4,000 a month, beautiful apartment in Venice Beach. And we had to move into like this little teeny tiny studio from this big, beautiful place. And that was not hard for me, but it was really hard for him. And at that time, I thought I had worked with the violence in me. But because we were doing violence together, I still had work to do. So I took that relationship from the red zone to the green zone, which red zone is like get out or get help. And the green zone is like, oh, these things don't have. So I just wasn't available for it by the end. I used to go to the neighbor's house. As soon as things would get volatile, I would just walk next door. And there was one time he grabbed me from the steps and threw me in the bushes right in front of my neighbor because I was on her steps. And he threatened to shoot me, kill me to the neighbors. And they were making police reports, and I wasn't even dealing with him. They were talking to him. So through the community, he stopped attacking me. And when our relationship was like in this healing container and he couldn't attack me anymore, he just started ghosting me. And ever since then, I used to have guys come up to me. This is what I mean about when you heal it inside, everyone else disappears. I used to attack men with my skateboard. And there's this one guy, John the bully, who I maced in the face twice. I hit him as hard as I could with my skateboard. I used to have men come up in their cars masturbating, and I would have to hit their cars. These men would appear out of nowhere to attack me, and I would have to fight them. When I did my work with Prince, all of a sudden these men, they weren't there anymore. John the bully still bugs me. He's on the boardwalk. But now, it doesn't bother me anymore. Now I've learned how to love him. The way that I got these guys to stop bugging me is as soon as it would happen, I would just love them. Love them as if they were my own child. Love them as if it's me watching myself from another body. This is the same spirit as me. What are the similarities instead of what are the differences? Instead of thinking about what's wrong with this person, what are they actually feeling and needing? What's the beautiful call to love underneath? And yeah, maybe you're going to ask me about A Call to Love, my nonprofit soon.
Tell me about that.
acalltolovela.com is our kind of makeshift website we just got up. And our goal is to take domination government to self-governing, market economy to sacred economics. And the way we're going to do that is by meeting needs. So on our website, people will be able to go on and they could click anything from shelter to food to child protective services, family services, to domestic violence, suicide, any need, gardening, groundskeeping. And we will replace every single department of government with self-governing. So what that looks like is, let's say, so next door and neighborhood are apps where if there's a police call or EMS call, everyone's notified. So we'll have the same technology so people can choose, I could choose, okay, anyone in a 5-block vicinity that needs suicide help or domestic violence or children and family services, anything from babysitting to child abuse, I will respond. And other people can respond. And if it's a call in their vicinity, they'll intercept before DCFS, before LAPD. And you could have like 1 to 20 people show up. And it's based off willingness and capacity, kind of like Alcoholics Anonymous. There's been 90 years, no controversy, no scandal, because everything's based off willingness and capacity. There's no leaders, no rulers, no rules, no laws, no governors. There's no dues, there's no fees. You could do anything you want. You could make a mistake. You could attack people. People will say you're lovable no matter what. Keep coming back. It works till you work it. They'll let you do a 4th and 5th step where literally you could do any crime, anything, and someone will tell you you are lovable. Good job. You said it in front of God. Don't admit this because it's going to get you in trouble. We're going to hold you and you will have a spiritual awakening. And I think that's the big problem with government is it replaces relationships and interdependence and trust. And then you have people who, it's a recipe for low capacity, and low capacity also translates to not caring. And if you don't care, then basically what happens to this person, there's going to be bad stuff. If someone cares, what happens to that person is going to be good stuff. There's going to be do-gooding. And if we don't care, we're going to use the most force and control and the least love and care. And if we are honoring our willingness and capacity, the 12th step means that each alcoholic, in order to hold on to their spiritual awakening, they have to give it away to someone else. So there's no dues or fees because the alcoholic benefits by helping other alcoholics. So this way, all the grannies will take care of the grounds and garden, not parks and recs and sanitation. All the parents like me who've been ridden hard through the court systems and lost their kids, we're going to go help the other parents. I'm going to help parents who, I choked my son once. I'm going to help parents learn how not to choke their kids. I hit my kids. I'm going to help people learn how not to hit their kids. And in my family, dogs got hit, elders, everyone got hit. So I had to learn not to do that. I'm the one who should be going, not these people who are there just to be an enforcer and see if you are doing a good thing or a bad thing. And we're entering into, in this pivotal, precious time, a new age. I call it the age of information. We're exiting the age of industry.
Daisy, you're an interesting girl.
We all are.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.